Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sudden Wealth. I hope you are enjoying the end of your week. Apologies for yesterday not dropping a video, but actually I had an event and I got quite drunk, so I ended up not being able to record anything. So I hope you do forgive me for that. Don't forget, guys, if you do enjoy the content, please consider dropping that like and subscribe. It greatly helps the channel, and thank you very much for your support in the growth of the channel. Now, let's close out the week. We are in October. October tends to be a bad month for stocks. It seems to confirm that. It tends to be a very good month for crypto. Also tends to confirm that. So, if you will, there's no big surprises on that front. I think everyone is aware of the escalation of the conflict over in the Middle East. That I think is creating a fear trade, which is basically gold is pumping more than it should. Oil is also going up, but still heavily subdued by the downtrend that I've been mentioning. Stocks are taking a hit. So I've been mentioning that we are in this larger sideways between 4,200 on the S&P and 4,600 on the S&P. Sometimes we overshoot it, so a little bit above 4,600. Sometimes we undershoot it beneath 4,200, which is where we are right now. But basically, we should be moving into the sideways channel quite quickly. Otherwise, this will create further damage to the trading pattern, which means we can actually go substantially substantially lower than this. So if we do recover sometime next week the 4,200 handle, and we do it on a decisive way, that would be fine. The longer we stay beneath this, the more likely it's becoming that we're gonna see further sell-off. Okay, so that is the setup that we are having today. Bonds a little bit down, but more stabilized than they were. And I think it's going to be pretty much about Fed meetings next week, further escalation of the conflict during the weekend, so these kind of things. In the meantime, crypto has had a huge pump, as everybody's aware. As I mentioned, it's possible that we're gonna come down to 31,800 on Bitcoin, and that because that would be a breakout area that we completely smash through. So actually pulling back to 31,800 to 32,000 and then moving higher is actually a bullish behavior on Bitcoin. And as you know, Bitcoin, I've mentioned this before, Q4 of the recovery year tends to outperform Ethereum. Ethereum has gained a bit on Bitcoin today, but still Bitcoin has outperformed substantially. And then January, February of the halving year tends to be an Ethereum outperformance period together with a bit of an altcoin season. Not the full-fledged altcoin season, but a little bit of it. And today, there's a video that I wanted to make that basically, to be honest, put some water on the hot spirits that we recently all have. And believe me, I also have them, but it's also important to understand where we are moving. So as you know, I have a strategy and I have three cases. The bear case, that means Bitcoin goes to someplace between 95,000 and stops there. Then you have the base case, which would be around 120 to 150,000. And then you have the blue sky scenario, everything goes well, Bitcoin shoots to between 300,000 to 500,000, which would put Bitcoin pretty much at the market cap of gold. So that would be the most bullish scenario. Now, the reason why I'm looking at the 80 to 95, 85, 95K Bitcoin, and then as we approach, I can narrow down a little bit those numbers. It's not because I want to be a party killer or a party pooper, if you will. It's just that the last time, for 2017, So the cycle of 2017, where we stopped at 20,000, everybody was predicting Bitcoin 100,000. Why? Because the previous cycle, the 2014, they saw how many percentage points Bitcoin went up, so they extrapolated for the new cycle, and that would put us at 100,000. Of course, we got to 20,000 and we stopped. Then for 2021, everyone was predicting around Bitcoin around 300,000, or at least minimum 150,000. Really worst case scenario, 100,000. We got to 69,000, we stopped, we came down. And this was at a period of unlimited money printing, QE infinity. We increased the money supply by almost 50%. So basically all the things that we wanted to see, and Bitcoin couldn't get there. So what I'm trying to say here is, when everyone starts looking at a target, it's the time to also be a bit cautious. Now, I know with the spot ETFs, with the coming of institutional money, it's a complete different ballgame in terms of amount of capital that is coming into the system. I get it. What I'm trying to say is, I'm also preparing for the case that we underswerve everybody again. So let's say we go to 94, 95,000, we stop there, and we start to sell off. So what I'm gonna do, this is my plan, is when I see Bitcoin 85 to 95,000, depends a bit on then the shorter term kind of events, which we need to wait to get there, I will probably take out about 25% to a third of my portfolio into stablecoins. Why would I do this? That's the question. Why? Oh, but then if it goes up, you're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss it. You see, what I've tried to do is, I am long enough at the moment that I don't need 1,000x. I don't need 10,000x. I don't need million%. If the things go up 200-fold, I will be extremely well. Number two is different. Every time we hit the Bitcoin top, we have about, depends on the cycle, but we have about 60 to 90 days where altcoins go absolutely ballistic to the roof. What I'm trying to say is, if I take out a third of my portfolio and Bitcoin starts to go decisively up, I will have time to get in at the end of the bull cycle as Bitcoin finally tops, and I have about at least 30 days to make some nice returns on the other third of my portfolio. So I actually have the time. So in my opinion, I'm not saying you should do this, and by the way, it's not financial advice. I'm just relaying how I'm thinking. So if indeed it is the top, and it should be, if 85 to 95K is the top, I already remove a third of the liquidity, a third of my portfolio out. And if then it gets confirmed that it's the top, I still catch the final ride and I exit my next 2/3, and I've done very well. And I'm not caught on the Bitcoin needs to go to 150K. If it actually goes into the 200, 300K, I will have time, and I know this because I've seen all I know this, I expect so, like I'm making an educated guess, right? Like anything in life. I mean, it's a matter of prediction. There's going to be a time when Bitcoin tops that then you have the super altcoin season, the hyper bull, right at the end of the bull cycle, in which altcoins go ballistic over the last between 1 month to 2 months, sometimes even 3 months. Okay? So that is why I am looking at this potential situation, because it can happen. I mean, you see, here is the situation. What is the consensus trade? What is the consensus number that everybody agrees that Bitcoin is going to go to? At the moment is 150K. Now, which tells me, based on everything that I know about markets, is that since everyone thinks it's 150K, I don't think it's going to be 150K. Now, the question becomes, are we going to undershoot it? Are we going to completely overshoot it? That is the question. If we undershoot it, how can I be prepared? and how can I take advantage of it, and how can I protect myself ultimately, right? If it overshoots it, I really don't care, because if Bitcoin is going to 500,000, then my altcoins are all exploding to levels that I never believed possible. So in that sense, I don't need my full portfolio. Even if I have 2/3 or a third, it's fine. It's big enough for me to retire in a situation where Bitcoin would, match gold in terms of market cap. So that is the key. I mean, this is not something, nobody wants to hear this. Everybody, no, don't you see all these guys saying 150K? Are you stupid or what? I get it. But that's the point, because everybody is placing their faith on that. That means that a lot of people will front run it to the downside. And based on the previous 2 cycles, everybody expected certain things, and none of them have happened. And we always underperformed the targets. And we had much better macro and monetary conditions that we have now. The big factor that nobody really knows at the moment is the coming of institutional money. Now, one thing I know for sure, the day it's announced, for sure, I believe so. We'll see if I'm right. The day that is approved and announced is going to be very bullish. Then the other ETFs that are going to get approved is going to be very bullish, but every approval less bullish than the one before. Then the actual launching date, I think, is going to be a big sell the news event. Just like 2017, Bitcoin futures basically was the top of the cycle. 2021, Coinbase IPO, same thing. And people always make the same mistake. So we'll see. It's good. My point being is, I'm not saying it's going to happen this way or not going to happen this way. The key is I'll be prepared and I'll do fine in either case. To me, that's the most important part. So thank you very much, guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.